Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You learn something new. Almost missed the opening of the show because we were talking about food so much for the past hour. Guest co-host tonight is Executive Chef Chad Matrana. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Woo! He is the Executive Chef of UL-Lafayette, and he is joining us tonight. We're going to be talking what it's like to be Executive Chef of a university, and then also various food topics out there. I do want to mention that tonight is the first night of Hanukkah for anyone who is celebrating that, and I really wish that I had potato latkes right now with creme fraiche and a little bit of caviar. That sounds so good to me right now.
I've never had, well, I mean, I'm allergic, but I've never had caviar.
You could have caviar.
I mean, I can have frog legs.
So maybe you could. And I mean, you don't eat a ton of caviar. Like, you just eat like the tiniest bit.
I don't know. I think if I had a big tin of caviar, I'd just go for it.
You wouldn't. I don't know about you. What are your feelings on caviar, Chad?
Love it.
You love it?
Yeah. There's a product that is harvested from the Atchafalaya Basin.
That's actually the only one. That's the only caviar brand that I like.
Cajun caviar.
Mm-hmm.
In their ghost pepper. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is actually, and Emeril Lagasse actually is partnered in that company. Yeah. That is the only caviar that I like.
Fancy.
But what I was going to tell you is, depending on the quality of the caviar, it could be super salty and gross. It's not like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's only one brand of caviar out there that I like, so I can't see you eating like a big spoonful. I'm sure there's people out there that do eat huge spoonfuls of caviar, but
I want to
around these parts, we use it mostly as a garnish because it's expensive.
I'd like to make it through those crazy fancy dishes, like when I had escargot, which I described as if garlic bread was an animal.
This is true. This is very true. That was a really accurate description of escargot.
So good.
Yeah, okay. So I was going to order at one point some Cajun caviar, and I think they're like $90 a jar. But someone also showed me a cheaper brand that was way cheaper in price, but I was worried that the taste was going to be different. And I know caviar is one of those things that, like, I don't want to don't want to have a bad brand of. But we'll have to get some, or we should go to a restaurant here in town that has it. I know there's a few places.
Come on down to T-Boy's Fish Eggs.
Exactly, Mom. This is why you've never had caviar before. But yeah, like, I don't know. I've never had latkes. Like, I've never had potato latkes. I haven't had a lot of Jewish culture food before.
I've had some. It's always pretty awesome.
Soup.
I've never had it. I've never had like a real corned beef sandwich.
Brisket.
Like, and then like I've never had that because that is like one of the things that we are really lacking here in Acadiana is a good like Jewish style deli to be able to get stuff like that.
One comes to mind in Metairie, and it's
y'all have a few.
Kosher.
Cool.
Yeah, and so they have all different everything that you just described. They have it, and they also have it in their grab and go, area where you can just take it with you. And
do they do like Cajun plays on stuff too if it's called Cajun kosher?
To answer, no, like what you're thinking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to be really specific with the word Cajun, but that's just the name.
That's just the name because
and they've been there for like 25 years.
Gotcha. Yeah, and there's like Stein's Deli in New Orleans as well as another one. And Mark is doing it with his bagels. Like, he's making bagels and he's doing certain things to go, accoutrement to go with it. But like, no, I've never had matzo ball soup. I've never had latkes before. So that would be some cool things to check out.
Definitely.
Especially because it's like the holiday season. And it's another like fattening, go big or go home menu item.
And the sun is down, so rock on with your party self. I don't know.
So when I did the morning show this past Friday, we had a caller call in, and I did not think that this would be as controversial as it's become. And I feel like such a heathen now.
You are.
Because I haven't been. But the caller called in to ask, do you wash your rice or do you not wash your rice? So I said no. Bernie said no. Rob said yes. You were violently texting me.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. And I posted this on social media, and Facebook was so like adamantly like, yes, you wash your rice for various reasons. A lot of them were like, you don't know what the inside of a rice mill looks like. But my whole logic with that is that, yeah, it could be gross, but you're boiling it in hot water to cook it. So that's going to kill anything. And that's some of the people that said, no, they don't wash it. That was their comeback. But the other logic behind washing the rice is to kind of help get the starch off of it so it cooks better. But Facebook was predominantly, yes, you wash your rice. Mm-hmm. And then Instagram was predominantly, no, they don't wash their rice.
Which is really interesting if you think about the demographic, which is and what I think that really it boils down to if your parents, like for me, my mom taught me how to make rice. And she grew up in an era where you probably really did have to wash your rice. So she was adamant you rinse your rice twice. And that's how I learned how to do it. And I think that's because obviously you don't have to do it because people are living and they've not washed their rice.
Right.
So I think it's more of what you've grown up doing.
And what do you do, Chad? You said it depends on the type of rice that you're cooking.
Yeah. So if I'm making a risotto, then yes, I will wash the rice because I want to get that starch off of there because I don't want the risotto to be lumpy.
Mm-hmm.
But for everyday use like red beans and rice or jambalaya, no, I don't wash rice.
And one of the people that commented works in a restaurant and he said that in a restaurant setting, they never wash the rice really because you don't have time to do it. But he also said they don't use rice cookers. They are cooking, old school on the stove is how they're cooking their rice too. So it was interesting to see the polarizing. It was almost like jar roux versus homemade roux almost with like how serious people were getting about it. So I was like, I feel like a heathen. Like I feel like I'm this horrible person because I haven't been washing my rice. So I think the next time that I cook rice, I'm going to wash it just to kind of see if it's any different or not. And then Rob also said that he puts vinegar in his rice, which I'm not, I don't. And again, that has something to do with like making it fluffier. And then also something about it doesn't stick in the rice pot as much if you do that. I don't know. That's a little much for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. If you like, I was taught to grease the rice cooker.
Yeah, I need to start doing that.
So it doesn't stick to it. And so I never have an issue with that. But what do you think about the vinegar?
I mean, I don't put things into food that make them taste differently. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't put vinegar in something that would make it taste any different than what I'm looking for. I would
assume that it was just a little amount because anything amount, it's going to taste like sushi rice.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I keep thinking, like when he was saying that. But then he was like, "Oh, I know this is unpopular, but that's what I do." And I had a couple of followers that said that they did that too. I've cooked mine in chicken stock before instead of water to like give it more flavor, especially if I cook like jasmine rice or basmati rice.
Yeah,
I'll do chicken stock to kind of give it like a little more flavor there. All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have more with Chad. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Follow Tiffany on Instagram. Just search the Lafayette Food Junkie.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we are talking with Chef Chad, who is the executive chef at UL-Lafayette. During the commercial break, we got a caller who is Team Vinegar.
Yes.
And she explained her reasoning behind using the vinegar in the rice.
Yes. The name of Michelle said she puts a teaspoon per about a pot of rice or like a dash if it's like 2 cups of rice. And that she says it makes it fluffier and whiter. And she also puts vinegar in her okra gumbo and it cuts the sliminess. She says you don't taste it at all.
That's interesting to do for the okra.
Yeah.
That's cool for that.
Because I love okra, but I hate that slimy.
I feel like I need to start like a Mythbusters. And I guess Alton Brown kind of did this where he did like different food theories of like different food experiments. And I feel like we should do this with the rice now because it's become such a thing. And we were also talking about other controversial things. So Bob and I made our quarterly pilgrimage to Trader Joe's yesterday for more. We stocked up on wine and cheese because this Christmas Eve, instead of doing Feast of the Seven Fishes, which if you're not familiar with it, it's an Italian-American tradition for a Christmas Eve, and they do 7 different seafood or fish-based dishes. We're doing Feast of the Seven Cheeses.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a lot of cheese. So we went to Trader Joe's to stock up on cheese. I'm doing various cheese dishes. It's very cheese-centric. And while we were there, we ate at this restaurant that I've been wanting to check out that was down the road called the Overpass Merchant.
So good.
And it's like right under the overpass.
Yeah,
it's
literally.
Under the overpass. Literally, like we parked under the bridge and it was terrifying to get out and hear the cars passing. I was like, oh my God, like what if somebody wrecks right now or throws something off? Because there's so much trash under there.
There is,
There was a lot of trash. There was also some Gordon McKenna street graffiti too
really
that I couldn't get over. But I kept calling him Morris Bart because I don't know any of those law guys by anything, but I was like, Morris Bart. And then when we were leaving, I said, oh, it's Gordon McKenna. I saw like the billboard for it.
It's pretty awesome.
But it's this, the Overpass Merchant's this really tiny restaurant that's right on the side there. Bob had the best meal of his life.
Yeah.
He's madly in love with the hamburger. That's his new favorite hamburger.
It was incredibly good burger, and the fries were insanely good.
Yeah, so the fries were really good. And it got me thinking, and I'm going to ask your opinion about this, Chad. So they were definitely home-cut fries, and I feel like properly fried home-cut French fries, you blanch them first, and then you twice fry them. Is that correct? Do you have to do both? I
blanch mine in grease.
Okay.
Okay, not in water.
Okay.
So what I'll do is if when we cut fries or when I do fries, I'll wash them really, really good. You got to get the starch off. That's what makes them soggy. And then a trick that I learned, kosher salt, not iodized salt, but kosher salt.
Yeah.
Once you get the water to where it runs clear, then you put, however much salt it's really probably personal to preference. But I usually, for 50 pounds of potatoes, then I'll usually do like a box of kosher salt. And then I'll blanch them at 315, 320 for probably 7 minutes. And that'll just cook the insides. And then when you can put them on sheet pans and cool them overnight, preferably.
Okay.
And then fry them at like 350, 375. And I'll tell you, they come out. We this one place that I worked, we did a truffle parmesan fry.
Oh, okay. That was an option there.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest truffle fan, but yeah.
But it was with truffle oil.
Mm-hmm.
It was super aromatic, and then we did like chives, I think, and Parmesan cheese, which was really, really good.
So you're blanching yours in actual oil, and that's like your twice. That's like your twice fry.
Right.
Doing it that way, because I thought they did it. You can do it in water too, right?
It's just it's harder to. And I think it's harder to do it that way. Quite honestly.
Yeah, your way does actually sound easier. So blanch it once in the oil overnight, and then do it again because these were so good. Some of the pieces were like busted open, and I was like, you could tell that these were twice fried. Like they were just so flavorful, and they do have truffle fries there as well. People kept ordering them, and they were passing by our table with it, and you could smell the truffle oil on it. But yeah, they were so good.
Like little explosions of yummy potato.
Well, I got a fryer for Christmas.
Yeah, you did.
So we are going to be experimenting with the fryer. So I think that this will be maybe one of our first experiments.
Our mitt bustering.
Yeah. Okay, and then we were also talking about before the show boiling eggs, which is another
that's
thing.
a whole nother show.
Yeah. So how do you boil your eggs? That's
this is what I do. I start with cold water, and then put however many eggs I'm boiling, and then I go for a soft boil, which is probably around 15 maybe 17 minutes, and then I shock my eggs.
You do it in the
ice
bath. Yeah.
And then from there, I'll just let them cool. You got to let them cool. That's the whole thing. Otherwise, the shell will stick to the egg. And then I just crack them, and run them under cold water, and the shell just comes right out. But I guarantee you, with this particular topic, you'll have 30 people call about how the proper way to boil eggs.
Well, and then speaking of vinegar, I do know people put vinegar with their eggs too, because it's supposed to help the shells come off easier. And then I just got an Instapot that is supposed to supposedly make it so much easier to peel the egg. So I'm interested to see, because I'm making deviled eggs for the first time. I've always been, I don't know why I've been scared to make them, because they're so easy, but it's just time consuming. And I feel like I've been too lazy to sit there and peel them all and slice it and do all that. But I'm going to be attempting that.
That's where the caviar comes in at.
Yeah.
To top it with
creme fraiche and caviar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Or I've seen around here also. I don't know. I've never seen this before, but chicken cracklings.
Yes, Bread and Circus does that. Yeah. Yes.
That's just something that we don't have in New Orleans.
Mm.
You know what? I may have to make a little. See if I can find some caviar to put on it.
Oh my God, do you have a fryer?
And the chicken skin.
We can make our own cracklings.
Yeah, we could.
Oh, it's on.
Actually.
And our own boudin balls?
I think we might set the house on fire. I feel like crackling something like that has to be cooked outside.
It's okay.
I don't think we can do that in an apartment. I don't think my apartment complex would appreciate that.
I mean, we take that outside. It's all right.
We're going to take my little cool daddy outside. and then it's going to be that cautionary tale video of what not to do with a hot fryer. This is a bad idea. This is not happening. We're not making chicken skins, and we're not making crackling.
All right. I'm just going to have to get my own fryer.
In this fryer. Please don't do this. Please don't. I love you. I care about you. Please don't burn yourself.
We'll figure it out.
That's kind of scary for me. But no, I do like the idea of the chicken skin on top. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. And now, we'll have to play around with it and see. All right, we are going to take another break. And when we come back, we have more with Chef Chad. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Go along on all of Tiffany's food adventures. Like the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku, and we have been talking with Executive Chef Chad Matrana, who is with UL-Lafayette, and then Bob, as always, for comedic endeavors and phone answering.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an integral part of the show now. You tried to not come tonight. Actually, you jokingly always say that you're not coming, and then I say, no, you are. I think if we ever break up, you're still going to have to come on the show.
That's rough.
It's going to have to be one of those working relationships, where they're not together anymore, but we still have to go on air together.
It's just tragic.
Yeah. You're in it for the long haul. Welcome to dating me. Okay. We also had another listener weigh in on the vinegar. They said that they add a little vinegar to the brown rice, and it makes the brown rice taste like white rice. And then also cooking the eggs in a pressure cooker makes the yolks, quote, like butter, end quote.
We will find out.
Yeah, we're going to experiment.
That'll be one of our myth busters.
So, Chad, tell us a little bit about your culinary background. You're from the New Orleans area. I'm assuming that's where your culinary voyage started.
Born and raised New Orleanian. I didn't really consider this as a profession right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of high school and needed something to do. And and just weighing out all my options. And then I walked into Commander's Palace, and it changed my life. Changed not only my professional life, but just my personal life as well.
Did you work there when Emerald was there? Or
no, I worked there after he left.
Okay.
So I worked there when Jamie Shannon was there.
Okay. Cool. So learned cut your teeth in Commander's Palace. I mean, that's a good kitchen to get your
especially
start
at a
in.
young age, where I would say at least six of the sous chefs that I worked under went on to open their own restaurants, or at least chef very successful restaurants in the city. So
from Commander's Palace, where did you go from there?
I went to Italy, Florence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I worked in a Michelin star restaurant there. And I did that. I didn't have a work visa, and so that was a whole different story altogether. But I did that, and then I came back, and I worked fine dining, pretty much my whole career in restaurants around in New Orleans primarily. I worked at Smith & Wollensky, which at the time was probably a top 10 steakhouse. I worked at Sapphires, which was a Kevin Graham restaurant. So there was a lot of fine dining in my background.
What was it like going from a New Orleans kitchen to an Italian kitchen?
Believe it or not, well, when you work at a restaurant like Commander's, and at the time I think it was top 10 in the country, especially at that age, you're exposed to a lot. And so the transition, I say it like this, the whole farm to table movement,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really exist over there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like a way of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the restaurant that I worked at was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 city blocks away from this huge outdoor market. And so every day I would go to the market. Now I wasn't the chef there, but the owner who owned his own vineyard in Grappa bottling company. He would send me to the market to get whatever was on special, whatever the special was that night. So it would be maybe prosciutto. We did a lot there. We did our own prosciutto. So, but it would be something like that. And I realized, afterwards, coming back here when you see like Cisco and all these, food distributors, and now I'm a part of that as well. But the thing is that never really went away over there. I mean, that's always been a way of life over there. And so I think it's really cliche now that we are talking about this in this country as an in vogue thing,
right?
Where over there it was never an in vogue thing. It was
just a way of life.
It was a way of life.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that we are doing a lot of sustainable things, and we are doing a lot of organic stuff as well.
Have you ever seen the show on Netflix, Master of None?
No.
Okay, so the character in there goes to Italy to learn how to make pasta, and he works with different. Did you see it, Bob?
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay, yeah, it's really good. Like the whole second season, like he goes, like he has a breakup, and he like goes to Italy to learn how to make pasta, and it's like all like about Italy, and he like eats the entire time, and he's making pasta. Was it almost like that, where it's like you were learning all these various
absolutely. I mean,
techniques?
You could walk down. You don't even have to set out to learn technique.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a really big thing, especially in Florence. I mean, it's kind of like it's when you live in Louisiana, predominantly seafood. We're blessed by having all of this, great seafood at our hands or at our back doors for our restaurateurs or chefs. But when I was in Venice, there was a lot of it was seafood, predominantly seafood. But when you got to Florence, and especially Florence, everything was pretty much meat, pasta, potatoes, that sort of thing. Well, the one thing that I remember that sticks out in my head was that they, at every corner in Florence, they always had like a gelateria,
mm-hmm.
and 9 times out of 10, the gelateria would have this case with this beautiful marzipan, and so they would just hand paint this marzipan to make it look like grapes or oranges or but the colors were so vibrant. I mean, everything when you're there, and I'm sure I've never been to France, but I'm sure France is like this as well. You're surrounded by it. You can't get away from it.
It's like it's everywhere.
It's so I mean, it's everywhere. So even if you're not thinking about it, it's not on the forefront of your mind. You can't help but to think about it.
Man, I was recently watching another food travel show, Somebody Feed Phil, and it's like this. It's the guy he's involved with Everybody Loves Raymond. Like he either was one of the writers or something, but now he has a travel show. It's called Somebody Feed Phil, and he's like this older Jewish American man, and he travel and it's like this wide-eyed view of the world, which is really cool. But he recently went to Venice. I had no desire to go to Italy before. I want to go to Venice now, eat these little tiny sandwiches that they're known for, and like drink wine. Like that's just after watching that episode, I was like, I want these little tiny sandwiches and wine. That's all I want in my life right now.
Yeah.
But do you know what sandwiches I'm talking about?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
I'm gonna have to Google it on the break because now it's gonna kill me to not remember it.
Like White Castles?
No, it's not like White Castle, Bob. This is farthest from White Castle that you can get. I'm going to have to Google it on the break. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. And then after the Master of None episode, I was like, I want to go to Italy and learn how to make pasta just to have like that drive to do something like that. What was your desire to go to Italy? Was it to work in this restaurant? Like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, how I ended up at that point, how I ended up working in that restaurant was that my uncle every year would go and rent a villa, and the owner of the villa was the owner of the restaurant as well. So that's how I was able to do it. Yeah,
that's very cool.
All
right, I'm trying to Google really quick the name of the sandwiches in Venice, and I'm not. It's pulling up Venice, LA right now, so it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna figure out. Oh no, wait, here it is. It's like Cantononia. Maybe that. I don't think that was what it was.
It's like little Vienna sausages, right?
No, it is not little Vienna sausages.
Well, then we would be talking about Vienna instead of sausages.
Yeah, because that's in Germany. So you said you didn't get to go to France while you were there. Did you get to travel a lot when you were over there, or no? It was pretty much.
Well, no. I mean, because I was there for that reason, to work in that restaurant. So, it was intense. Working at. I couldn't imagine. Well, I mean, I guess I could imagine working in a 4-star Michelin restaurant, but this one was a 1-star, but it was still. Very intense.
I just pulled up the specific episode. They do talk about gelato, which he does go to a gelato place. Of course, they're not like pulling it up. What the thing is where they ate. That is going to bug me like crazy. Okay, we're gonna figure it out. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we have more with Chef Chad. So come back to us. It is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffany Deku. We have been talking with Executive Chef Chad of UL-Lafayette. Okay, I found the name of the little tiny sandwiches. I'm going to butcher it. It's Tramezzina, and it's Venetian tapas almost. They're like little tiny finger sandwiches that they serve to go with wine. And that's what it was. And I found it. But you have not heard of that before.
No, I haven't.
Okay. And then we were also talking about during the break that you went to Cuba. And I love all things Cuban. So what was that like?
Well, I'll tell you, everything is some of the restaurants there are run by the government.
Right, and you can't eat at those. You need
Well, you can eat them. You can eat them.
See, I thought as a traveling American, because you have, they're very strict on, why particularly you're going, and then sometimes you have to show receipts.
I mean, we went everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, and I didn't show any receipts or anything else like that. But the restaurants that are owned by the government, it just means that I think that they have to charge a little bit higher prices, and that pretty much everything is run by the government there. And so they have to then give some of a portion of their sales back to the Cuban government.
Mm-hmm.
But the restaurant that we ate at was someone's house. It was literally somebody's house. And we got whatever the meal, the special was, and it came with everything that you can imagine. We had lobster, shrimp. We had this really, really good chicken, and it was cooked in a pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was cooked in a pressure cooker, and then the skin was just crisped in the oven. So when you cut into it, it just fell apart with white sweet potatoes. And I'll tell you, it was amazing. And they had everything that you hear about mojitos over there is absolutely 100% true. The mojitos were great.
I went for my senior trip in when I graduated from high school, we went to Miami, and my friend that I went with at the time, her mom is Cuban, and so we stayed with her Cuban grandmother. And so I was exposed to that world in Miami, and it was phenomenal food, like amazing food, most welcoming people. One of my coworkers just got back from Cuba, and she said it was like the same thing there, like amazing food, welcoming, just the nicest welcoming people. And I want to go there so bad. It is on, Bob and I have been talking about this. I was like, you can go take pictures, and I just want to eat food, and it'll work out.
There's so much there to do. I mean, we didn't stop. Personally, we did not stop. We were eating, drinking. They have this really good street corn there. And I actually took a picture of the street corn because they don't have, you think that, they'd have like a skewer or something like that. They don't have any of that over. They don't have where you go to the place and buy a wooden skewer.
Right.
So they make all of their own skewers.
Oh, wow.
And so everything there is either refabricated to make it something else, or they just make it themselves.
So let's talk about UL, because that's where you're working at now. What does being an executive chef of a university entail?
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work. And then you have it's a situation where you have a lot of people that you're cooking for every day. So you really want to make that meal special, whether it be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and then also too, not only do you want to make it really, really good, but you also want to make it regionalized fresh. And so that's what we really tried to do at our program is really regionalize it to not only Louisiana, but to this part of Louisiana, and really just a really fresh initiative.
So being executive chef, your domain is kind of over the main cafeteria for the kids, and then you were also talking about
we have like a faculty and staff, the UC club.
Okay.
And that's a little bit more upscale. Faculty, staff, special guests will go there. But where we do more restaurants style foods there.
So anyone who isn't attending UL, can they dine at either one of those areas?
Not the UC club.
Not the UC club. You have to be specially invited.
Yeah.
You have to know someone.
You have to know somebody.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, it's like the best. I think it's like $8.75 or whatever. But it's the best. It's the best. I'm telling you, if we had a restaurant that was a standalone restaurant, it would be very popular in town.
And the menu changes.
Yes, it changes. I mean, we haven't had the same menu, and I personally write all the menus. So.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Can you give us some examples of what are in the student dining? Because we were talking about that before the show. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of different dietary needs that you're meeting, vegan diets, allergy diets. We have a huge culturally diverse group of students at UL and, meeting their dietary needs as well. So what are some of the samplings that you guys put on the menu?
Well, we started this year. We have our own vegetarian room.
Oh, cool.
So,
okay.
And we're just now getting started with that. We're the first university to be a part of the Eat Fit Acadiana, which is really, really huge. We're the first in Louisiana as far as universities go in terms of having that program established.
And that's important too, because I will be the first one to tell you, I put all my weight on my freshman year of high school. I mean, of college, and it was all the fast food that I was eating at the time. Like, so that's good because kids that's predominantly their diet that they're eating. That's great for them.
Yeah. And also too, I mean, you have to realize that you are feeding that demographic from 17 to, I guess, 20, 22, something like that. So they're going to gravitate to, pizza and hamburgers and things that they recognize.
Right.
But, so the question becomes, how do you make those things really, really good? So how I think about it is I take like a step back and then think about, well, what would I do if this was the restaurant? Like if I was in a restaurant setting, what would I do? Well, first thing I would do would buy really good ground beef, and it would have to be fresh. And so we patty all of our own hamburgers there, which makes you wouldn't think that I mean, I know that it does, but you wouldn't think that from I wouldn't say a young adult's palate, but it absolutely does. I mean, and then like I said, just using all fresh ingredients, scratch cooking.
That's cool because that's something that you wouldn't think about with a school cafeteria. Because when you think of school cafeteria, I'm automatically thinking of
institutional,
right? And what's served at the schools, and you guys are completely different.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. I think that's the big misconception is that it has to. You have to. It has to taste like something, but it doesn't have to. All it has to be is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the diversity as far as like the ratio of students that go there that are actually from this area, whereas they're from other countries or other parts of the country. But we try to do what you would see like on menus here in town. So we do a smothered chicken. We do we obviously red beans and rice, jambalaya, crawfish etouffee. But we really do those things really, really well.
That sounds pretty good. Are y'all on waiter yet?
No, that would be a good idea, though.
Don't have to worry about parking if you're on waiter.
Yeah.
Man,
so that's our huge thing.
That would actually be smart to start like an on-campus thing to where they just deliver on campus.
A petit waiter.
Yeah, but just for like the cafeteria, like you just do it and you can just do it to dorms or wherever on campus. That might be something that somebody can think of.
This setting, the campus setting, universities changes all the time,
right?
And we're just really fortunate that we're in this part of the state, and in New Orleans as well, where they really do appreciate really good food, and we can do a lot more as chefs in this, and that's what really gravitated me to this area. Was that I knew that I could prepare really good food for students.
What do you think has been the most popular items that have been on the menu?
Well, since we changed beef, definitely the hamburgers.
Really?
Yeah, I mean you wouldn't think that, but yeah, I mean, they're grilled on a flat top grill. And we make our own seasoning. And every morning, we'll do like anywhere between 400 to 600 hamburgers a day.
Wow.
I'm sorry for just for lunch.
Wow.
And so that's not for dinner. So, yeah.
And you said to go for lunch, like that's when you really want to go and check out the menu. Is the lunch menu?
I mean, I'm yes, I would say yeah, because the energy there. We have TVs and music and it's really, the energy to be around younger people.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not, that old myself, is really a good vibe, and I think that's why I've done this for this amount of time, and really took a step back in my career. Not really took a step back, but not worked in restaurants to do this. Because it's been rewarding. Yeah.
Do you like this better than working in a restaurant kitchen? It's different.
It's very different.
Yeah.
Like I definitely feel like I don't know. That's a really hard. Yeah. It's like comparing apples and oranges. It's very competitive. And I still stay in touch with a lot of guys that are at Commanders and other places like that, and so I do miss that camaraderie.
That was something that I had asked you too about. Do you guys only serve food when school is in session? Because I know there's students that live on campus like year round. Like, do y'all?
We always have stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like we always have things on campus going on. That kitchen, if there's a little bit of downtime, it's not very much.
Yeah, so you guys are pretty much constantly open. Is it open 24 hours?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
You would die.
No, hard no.
No. That is a no.
No, it's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, and then you said till like about 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
You had said. Okay, very cool. So the chefs that we have come on the show, we like to ask them a couple of questions and a kind of quick fire round. So post shift drink.
Bacardi and Coke was a line.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's very Cuban. Almost. It's a Cuba Libre.
Yeah. I don't order that though. I say Bacardi because it has to be. I don't know.
It has to be Bacardi.
I can't do like the rum or anything else like that. So
no cheap rum for you.
I say Bacardi and Coke with a lime.
Have you had? Speaking of rum, really quickly, there's a distillery out of Baton Rouge called Caneland that does rum. Have you had their rum before?
No.
I would check it out.
Not.
It's really good. I got a Brazilian style whenever I went, and then we got a cinnamon because I'm doing Christmas cocktails with it. But they have they also do whiskey too, but rum is really what they're doing there.
I saw something the other day. Maybe it was Bayou rum.
Bayou rum is out of like sulfurish Lake Charles area,
and they have like a Satsuma.
They do.
And
they
that
do
I had the other day.
It tastes like good cough syrup. Is how I describe it.
I had a couple of those the other day. That was good, really good as well.
If your death row meal.
Oh gosh. Fried chicken.
That's mine.
Fried chicken. Baked macaroni. Now, when you say baked macaroni, I think of this place called Rocky and Carlos in New Orleans, and so they use bucatini pasta, and so they bake they make like this cheesy sauce, and they melt the cheese over the top, and then so the big thing is like, do you want your baked macaroni with gravy or without gravy? So gravy, in their gravy definition, is like red sauce.
Yeah, so they put red sauce on it too?
Okay, so that's where you probably is like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
This. I'm telling you.
Really?
Like, all I'm saying is I'm just saying.
It's a death row meal.
I have to check this out. Okay, I'm with you on that. All right. Must-have kitchen tool.
A microplane.
A microplane. Okay, why?
Because you could do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't really. I like to get my flavors from if I'm using citrus or anything like that from the actual rind and the peel as opposed to the juice. I just think that I want that intense concentrate flavor.
Tomatoes or no tomatoes in your gumbo? Because you're from New Orleans, I had to ask.
I knew that this subject was going to come up.
Put the microplane down.
Yeah. It's crazy because I didn't know about the no tomatoes thing until I got here. Now, I've never put tomatoes in my gumbo, seafood or chicken and andouille gumbo, and I've never put tomatoes in it at all. All right. Having said that, I do have a friend who has a restaurant in the French Quarter, and he starts. Oh, so
go ahead. Go
okay.
Ahead. Yeah.
So he starts his gumbo, and I know that you probably get a lot of hate mail for this. But he starts his gumbo with a tomato sauce, and then he adds roux to it. And I'll tell you, like it's one of my favorite gumbos. But to answer your question, no tomatoes.
No tomatoes. Chad, it has been a pleasure. Thanks so much. We're going to have you on again. We ran out of time.
Absolutely.
All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana.
Sunday nights mean the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Download the podcast every week on KPEL965.com.